Today's episode is going to be a short one, and that's because it is a listener shout out. It's not going to be as long as the last listener shout out, which was the Love Weddings episode, and that's because this person that I'm going to talk about today is someone who I just discovered recently, or to be more apt, someone who just discovered me recently, and we haven't had a chance to work together on any project. She was looking for a looking for a business podcast hosted by a Nigerian, and somehow she found my handle. And apparently, after that, she went on an all night binge. We exchanged a couple of messages because she thought that the insights that I deliver over on the podcast were quality and real objective. And even before we had the conversation on Instagram, she had shared on her Instagram story about discovering me and discovering the show. And so, the person that I'm talking about today, she goes by the name of Adeola. The Instagram handle is Marie Belle, and that is at Marie, Marie underscore Belle, Belle, and it looks like it's a double underscore after that. She's a gift curator, and she has two other Instagram handles. One is at etsybox.co, that is etsebox.co, and what she does over on that handle is bespoke gifting, but unfortunately that's just for people in the Lagos axis. For those of us who are based in Abuja or in other places, if you want to find out if she delivers out of state or abroad, then you'll have to hit her up on her Instagram handle to find out, or Instagram handles rather. And then the second one is Tees and Fits, and that is at TEES and AND Fits, FITS, all together one word. And then that handle is for custom tees and polo shirts, but also only for people who are in the Lagos area. So of course, if you're looking for those things, bespoke gifts, or for custom polos and tees, and you happen to be in the Lagos axis, reach out. If you're not in the Lagos axis, but you want to see the kind of stuff that she has, I've given you the handles, and if you want to find out about delivery, she seems really responsive on the DMs, so getting in touch with her or chatting with her should not be a problem. And so basically, this episode is just to highlight her and shout her out, because people like Adeola and before her, Love Weddings, are the reason why the ministry is moving, in quote, and people are beginning to hear about a different way of building your business or focusing on business problems, which is focusing on growing your businesses one conversation at a time and worrying about conversions. Because if you look at the landscape, both abroad and at home here in Nigeria, most people seem to think that the be-all and end-all is the marketing or the branding or the advertising angle. And these things are really, really, really important. But like I've said time and time again on the podcast, there's no point in taking your hard-earned money and throwing it at advertising if you don't know how to convert the leads that are going to come in, or if you're going to burn all the goodwill that you are generating through your hard work of building a solid brand, because these things do happen all the time. For those of you who are long-time listeners, you remember about the episode where I stepped into this retail outlet at Sedi Plaza, the sale closed there, and about how the sales attendant, how she botched the conversation between my wife and I just told my wife, like, let's leave. We're not going to buy from here. Let's leave. And gisting with other people, it turns out that we're not the only ones who had that kind of experience over at that shop. So the poor business owner is doing a lot to build his business or her business. I'm sure she's doing all the right things, the websites, the branding, the Instagram, the everything, only to have people come in there every day to be hounded out of a sale by the sales attendant that she has there. So I'm not saying one thing is more important than the other. Everything all works together to have a healthy business. But let's just say that the average person is paying attention to only one end of the equation and isn't worried too much about the conversions, because the assumption is that if your branding, your marketing, and all that is good, then the business is just going to flow, and that is not necessarily the case. So thank you very much, Adeola, for discovering the show, for talking to other people about it, for sharing it, and also for giving me the feedback that you did, because like I told her, this is the sort of stuff that gives me the fuel to continue making the recordings. So I appreciate the love, Adeola. Thank you very much. And for the rest of you who listen to the show, who find the sorts of things we talk about over here valuable, please subscribe using whatever app that you're using right now to listen to the show, on Spotify or on Anchor. I record on Anchor, but Spotify bought over Anchor, so it's pretty much one and the same now. It's also the same on iTunes or Stitcher, and then there's also Google Podcasts, and I can't remember what else. The big ones, anyway. But one thing though, if you're going to look for this show on your podcast catcher, it doesn't help to look for the title, which is Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry Podcast, because for some reason, search on podcasting apps, it's not very good, let's just put it that way. So it's easier to find me if you just search for the name Tavishima Ayede, and Tavishima is Tavershima. Tavishima Ayede is Ayede. Again, Ayede. So if you're looking for the title of the podcast, you're not going to find me. I don't know why. Maybe when I get more popular and have more subscribers, then it'll pop up a whole lot more. But if you search for the name, surprisingly, it just pops up. Or maybe because for now, I'm the only Tavishima Ayede on the planet. Maybe until one of my cousins or my nephews or nieces have kids, and then they start naming their sons Tavishima as well. So until then, I'm the only Tavishima Ayede that you'll find on your podcast catcher, your podcast app. So that's the best way to subscribe to the podcast. You can also share, if you find this valuable, using the buttons that you'll find on your podcast catcher. You can share across all your socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, like Adeola did. Although I'm not quite sure how she got this on the Instagram story. Okay, yeah, I think she took a screenshot and then shared it on the Instagram story. So, yeah, so that's it. Subscribe on your podcast catcher, your podcast app, and then please share on the socials. And, of course, if you have any questions, comments, queries, or you just want to say thank you for doing a good job, feel free. Reach out to me. Always respond to my messages. I must confess, because of the volume of messaging that I have to deal with, because I am a business owner as well, so every day I wake up, record the shows, and then I'm off trying to drum up business for the sales consulting, and then also for the photography business, as well as other projects that I'm involved in with my partners. So usually I'm behind by messages maybe a day or two. So don't despair. If you send messages on a Monday, for instance, I definitely will be replying by Wednesday at the very least, except if you are a spammer, because for some reason a lot of people come across this show and they think, you know what, let me try and sell this guy some NFTs. Actually, if you are an NFT person and you come across this podcast, I would have hoped by now that you would have learned the best way to sell. You don't just come across someone and think, okay, this guy is active online, so therefore let me try and sell him something. If you listen to the show, you would have figured out by now that you always have to try and make sure that your outreach is relevant and that you are speaking to the right person. By listening to the show, there's absolutely nothing that gives away the fact that I am interested in NFTs or that I am your target audience. So if you reach out to me because you're trying to sell some NFTs or some crypto stuff, I'll read the message only because I'm looking for material that I can use, case studies about how not to go about and sell. But then, once I get down all the details, I'm going to block you. So, if you're trying to sell me NFTs, don't bother. Anybody else, reach out and I'll respond. So, thank you very much for the love again, Adeola. I hope this is a wonderful year for us all, especially for you in your bespoke clothing business, your bespoke gifting business, and then your tees and polos business. So, thank you very much for the love, and thank the rest of you, dear listeners, for hanging on so far. So that's it pretty much. Thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based sales consultant and event media professional Tavishima Ayede. Thank you for your time and your attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.